Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I have a Carhartt boot review. Now, this is my very first review of this particular boot brand, so I am very excited. Now, these are the work boots from Carhartt, and they are called Rugged Flex. They are waterproof, currently $139 on Amazon. Overall, I am very impressed with the build quality of the boot. Probably the best quality-wise that I have reviewed so far on this channel. But if you have time to watch the whole review, let's get into it. Now, as some of you already know, this review is specifically for my Ultimate Survival Boots section. If this was your very last boot that you were wearing, because this is a work boot and you're working a full-time shift, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, you probably are one of those people wearing this boot and something bad happened. War, natural disaster, whatever. You had to leave work, you had to walk for extended periods of time, you had to run, fight, do whatever is needed to survive. Would this be a good boot to survive in? So, how do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Criteria number 1 is comfort level, of course. And in order to test the comfort level of all the boots that I get on this channel, I do a 3-mile run without stopping, and then a 5-mile walk right after without stopping. Pretty hard. Now, in this boot, it was pretty hard to run. First of all, because they are on the heavier side. As you can see, there's a lot of protection offered. With all of that protection comes the weight. And let me tell you exactly how heavy they are. So, this is size 10, 31.2. Now, I always say on this channel that if you want the boots that are fairly relatively easy to run in, you want something under 20 ounce. The more under 20 ounce they are, the easier it is run in them. Obviously, this is well above 20 ounce. So it is pretty hard. They're pretty heavy. You definitely feel it. After about a mile, I was already feeling tired. It was hard. It was hard to run properly in this boot. And there are a few other factors that contribute to that hardship whenever you're running. First of all, it's the bottom sole. It is massive, as you can see. But not only it is massive, the rubber, the outsole, the hard layer of the outsole usually, which is very thin usually. Here, as you can see, it is very thick, so the bottom sole is not flexible at all, and what that does is it makes it very hard to run properly. Not very hard really, but moreover impossible to run properly. So you put a lot of stress on your ankles, you put a lot of stress on your knees. Keep that in mind. Another major complaint that I have about the comfort level of this boot is the positioning of the hardware, the lacing hardware, which we will talk later in the review. But here I wanted to mention that this particular hook right here is positioned so that whenever you are doing any kind of faster walking or running or trying to, somehow move, in this area of your foot, it presses on a very soft spot above your ankle, and it makes it very uncomfortable, and you get fatigued in that particular area very, very quickly. Now, you can approximately imagine what I'm talking about and what spot I'm talking about on your foot. But let's get into the good news now. One thing that I'm very impressed in this particular boot is the outsole. Now, I am very, very happy with, not the outsole, sorry, the inner sole. I'm very happy with the inner sole. It has a lot of cushioning, very nice and jelly. I do like the shape of it, and there is a heel bed, so it kind of holds your heel in place. It doesn't allow for your foot to slide back and forth. I'm very happy with the cushioning. It makes it very comfortable. So if you're not running, if you're just walking or standing, these boots are fairly comfortable because of that inner sole. But it's not it. If you remove the inner sole, there is another layer of cushioning on the bottom which adds up to that cushioning. So a lot of the impact from walking, from running, is absorbed by this good, very good inner sole. Keep that in mind. And of course you do have some cushioning here on the top, so with the tongue as well, so you know your sheens they don't rub on the tongue. It feels pretty good. Okay, so overall on the comfort level, I would give this boot a very solid 7 out of 10. I wish they were a little bit on lighter side, and I wish that this hardware right here was positioned a little bit differently, or there was a little bit more cushioning implemented here to kind of protect that soft spot on your foot, on your leg, from this button kind of pressing into it. I think it would have been great. Okay, so let's move on to the criteria number 2, which is proofing and protection. These boots are waterproof, keep that in mind. Now, protection wise is definitely one of the things where these boots definitely do shine. They have a lot of protection offered from the bottom sole with this very thick, very hard rubber layer, but you also do get protection, some protection, even though it's a soft toe boot. Keep in mind, this is not a hard toe, not a composite, not a steel toe, but you do get that material, harder material going over the toe. Will protect some impact, nothing too heavy, but still pretty good. You do have some heel protection. Not much in the ankle area. I kind of wish that there was a little bit of a design going with the same material here to give you that, kind of to utilize that boot being a full-size boot, right? But there is only cushioning here on the very top, nothing in the ankle area. So if you do hit your ankle right here, you're definitely gonna feel it. So I kind of wish Carhartt implemented that a little bit. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 3, quality and the design features. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, I am very impressed with the build quality of the boot. It feels really good. Now, whenever it comes to the design features, here I usually talk about the lacing system, and I do like the lacing system on these boots a lot. I am a big fan of thinner strings, lacing strings. I think it's very easy to tighten them up, to lace the boots. I am also a fan of this metal hardware that is used here. You have 4 pair of rings. You do have one close hook in the middle, which is pretty good. It's really good. It's just positioned, I wish it was positioned a little bit differently. And you do have 3 pairs of open hooks, which are, you know, fairly easy, makes it easy to take the boots on, put the boots on and take them off, which kind of contributes. It's pretty good whenever it comes to the survival situations, because you do want the boots that you are able to put on quickly and, I don't know, maybe take off quickly as well. But let's move on to the next criterion, very important one, criteria number 4, the outsole traction and stability. Now, whenever it comes to the testing of the outsole traction and stability, what I do is I do my tests, the running 3 miles and then walking for 5 miles, and I test them on a variety of different surfaces. I start on newer tarmac, older asphalt, and then I get into the sandy surfaces like dry sand, wet sand, and then there is a dry grass, wet grass, rocky road, and then of course I finish up with some flat surfaces, shiny surfaces like marble and tile. Now, because these boots are much more on the flatter side, they are not very stable on wet surfaces like wet grass. Very slippery on the wet grass. Keep in mind these will not work on the sand. They will not work on the ice. They will be very slippery. Keep that in mind. Even though they are slip resistant, oil resistant, they are slip resistant and oil resistant on shiny surfaces like marble and tile. This flatness, it contributes to the grippiness whenever it comes to the shiny surfaces, but not surfaces like wet grass, for example. Very slippery there. Keep that in mind, because I do get a lot of comments that, you know, I bought the boots and they say they're slip resistant and then I slipped on a wet something. Keep that in mind. It's for shiny surfaces only, which makes it very actual for people that, you know, work in the factories, you know, work boots after all. Definitely good where there is like a oily floor, for example, greasy floor. Definitely good, but if you want something that is kind of good combo for hiking and working, might not be the best option. Keep that in mind. Okay, so let's move on to the criteria number 5, the temperature. Now, I tested these boots in very hot temperature, the Florida heat, 100 degrees. Did not overheat. I like the breathability. You probably already noticed that there are some vents on the inner sole, which kind of keeps your feet, I wouldn't say cool, but keeps them from overheating. Pretty good. Now, whenever it comes to the winter situations, like I said, I would not recommend these boots for winter situations anyway, because they're not going to be good on ice. They're not going to be good on snow. Even though they're waterproof, I still would not recommend them. But for colder temperatures, because these are full-size boots, because they're waterproof, and because you can utilize some insulated socks with these boots, even though they don't have any insulation, you can get socks with insulation, you might get away with some colder temperatures as well if you want to. Alright, criteria number 6, the sizing. Now, whenever it comes to the sizing, I always get my boots half a size bigger. My normal shoe size is 9.5, and I get all my boots in size 10. That allows for a little bit of the extra space here in the toe box, helps with longer distance walks and especially going down the hill. And I highly recommend getting your work boots with half a size extra as well, because most work boots, they do have that harder toe box, which this is the case as well. Even though this is not a steel toe, it's still pretty hard because of this, and that will save you from a lot of fatigue, trust me. Good advice. I got it from one of my hiking friends, and this is the advice that I'm giving you now. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 7, balance of application. So if this really was your last boot that you were wearing, something bad happened, would this be a good boot to survive in? I think not very much. I think it's a great boot as an option for work, especially if it fits you right, because you know everybody has different feet, legs, you know. For you, this hardware right here might not bother you that much, and if you're using them strictly for work, they are fairly comfortable, especially if you don't have to run or walk too much or walk down the hill in these boots and bend over that much, because again, this is not very flexible. Keep that in mind. And you do need some protection from the bottom. You do need that oil slip resistance, and you don't mind that extra weight. However, there are other options out there. There are a lot of options, especially in the price $139 price range. Keep that in mind, which brings me to the criteria number 8, price range. It's $139 currently on Amazon. Like I said, the link is in the description below if you want to check out the updated price, and of course some features, some of the reviews, which there are a lot of good reviews about these boots, and obviously most of them, they have to do with the quality. I mean, these boots, they are built like a tank, just beautifully built. Over 120 5-star reviews, of course, that's why. But again, whenever it comes to the price, $139, there's a lot of competition out there. So do your research. I've done some other work boot reviews on this channel. If you're looking for boots specifically for work and not your ultimate survival situations, check them out. Maybe you'll find something else. If you have any comments, any recommendations or requests, drop them in the comments below and I'll be happy to address them. And thank you very much, guys, for watching. I'll see you in the next video.